What's going on, everybody? My name's Gabe Charay. Welcome back to the channel. If you watch my stuff, occasionally I will review new stuff from different companies, and today we're doing something from Rhodes, which is pretty cool, but the catch is that today we're not doing an instrument that was originally designed by Rhodes. So what the heck is that? Today we're looking at the Rhodes Wurlitzer. What? I'm cool with that because all of the plugins that I've looked at from Rhodes so far, I really like, and I do use them all the time. They sound incredible. And this one's no exception. There's a couple things that I have some thoughts about with this one, but we'll get into those as we talk about it. But today I thought I'd just go over it, introduce it to you, and play some stuff and let you decide for yourself. And if you're interested in it and you want to check out more, there's a link in the description. All the thoughts are my own, and everything I'm going to discuss is my own opinion. So they sent over a little press sheet. I'm just going to read a little bit from it. It says, as part of our ever-expanding library of classic instruments, we're proud to share our own take on the iconic reed-based electric piano. Vintage feel, contemporary control, which is true of a lot of plugins. Users can dial in unique textures using tools like timbre shift, revoicing the instrument in real time, which is pretty common with plugins. Global tuning, of course, and authentic vibrato. All that sounds awesome. It says this is a recreation of a 1974 200A, which is probably the most famous Wurlitzer on recordings, period. It's 64 keys, which I guess was pretty standard. I've played Wurlitzers in the past, but I'd never really noticed how many keys are on there. And I did notice that when I was playing this instrument that at the top here, there's some damper stuff going on, which I wasn't familiar with that on Wurlitzers, and where the keyboard ends. So it does say there's an authentic emulation of the speaker system that was on board Wurlitzers. We'll check out some of that stuff. Rhodes pays attention to details, and especially sort of the analog part of their plug-in instruments, which I really appreciate. I think when plugins were first introduced that modeled analog instruments, the hard part was finding sounds that sounded dirty or real or the way they sounded. That's why I always liked using my Rhodes back here, because it's kind of funky, you know, it's got some stuff in it. And then when you would play, you know, Rhodes sounds by other manufacturers that were onboard keyboards, they were always too clean or too nice. So I think manufacturers have come around to that a little bit to realize we want it to be a little funky. You know, we want some funky stuff in there. Okay, so let's check out the user interface here. So here is the Rhodes Wurli. Again, we have a lot of stuff here. We have a preamp, an equalizer, vibrato, velocity. We'll talk about that in a sec. Chorus, phaser, delay, and reverb. These are things that are all available on the Rhodes Anthology, if you're familiar with that. And the left here, we have a speaker cabinet simulation. I assume this is the onboard speakers here, the Wurli speakers, and then we have a Duo, which is probably like a Fender Twin amp. On those amps, we have choices of microphone placements, a cardioid or a dynamic microphone. I appreciated this on the Anthology, but Rhodes includes this velocity knob here on the right, which I think is pretty important because every MIDI keyboard or connection might have a different velocity sensitivity in the keys. And I actually find that this setting is a little too strong for me. So I'm gonna take the curve and I'm gonna turn it down just slightly, just for me and my playing style. There's only one instrument in this whole thing, which is the Wurlitzer. So all the presets are the default plus some sort of effect or EQ version. But here is just the total default. Here's the sound. And that's just default sound, so nothing fancy, you know. I mean, it feels like a Rhodes. I mean, that's the problem with the Rhodes Wurli. I keep saying Rhodes. It feels like a Wurlitzer. It has the sound. Yeah, what else? Here's another pretty well-known one. You can already hear there's some junk in there. There's like one of those, there's like a bellish tone going on in one of those. I notice, oh, it's that low A. Like you can hear the funk in there, the mechanical stuff. Like here. That's pretty cool. And I noticed when you get to the top, like a acoustic piano, there's no dampers up here. I guess that's pretty normal for like a Wurlitzer. And then of course my keyboard is longer than the 64 key Wurlitzer, so. And if you're digging in, it really lets you dig in, like you really get the bite. Of course, we can mess with all these. There's a preamp and a drive. Drive will drive the sound pretty hard. So if you want like a real distorted sound. Get that nice drive. That's a pretty cool drive, actually. Let's check out this speaker. That's with the Wurli onboard speaker. This is off. Smooth. But yeah, the onboard speakers give it that sort of mid-range sound. If you really drive it, it can get really gritty. And then, of course, let's do the duo. And cardioid. It's a little bit of a thinner sound, actually. Dial back the drive. Yeah. Of course, there's an EQ. You can always EQ the sound to your taste. It's nice to have an onboard EQ and a vibrato. But yeah, when you get the vibrato dialed in nice, it really adds a nice character to it. It's nice. I'm gonna keep that vibrato on. There's a chorus. Actually, that's super tramp. That's a little much. Let's dial it back. And I think that has a little bit of chorus on it, like Goodbye Stranger. Let me dial it up a little bit. Kind of cool. Phaser, classic for analog old keyboards. A delay, always, I'm never going to argue with having a delay. Has all your standard delay stuff, dry, wet, mix, time and feedback, and of course a built-in reverb with some different reverb types. There's a hall reverb. That's pretty intense. I'm gonna dial back the wetness a little bit. And then a room reverb. I find that room reverbs do really well with like a low time. And a real subtle mix. It's cool. Feels like it's in the room. Plate. and spring. All cool stuff. And of course on your presets here, they have a ton of different presets with different combinations of stuff. So you can try some of those. Bass boost. And then bright timbre shift. That's very bright. Dark timbre shift. It's darker. Duo amp number 1. Two. Phaser, fast phaser. Drive. Woo, that's a blasting drive. That's intense. Hall reverb. Actually, I haven't done something subtle yet. I always like the way Stella by Starlight sounds on like a really chill Wurlitzer. I used to play it on the Wurlitzer here, but let's hear it with this Hall reverb preset. It's nice. There's a lot of presets, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's plenty here to check out, and there's lots of tweakability and options on the interface here. Another thing I should mention is just like the Anthology, over here on the left side, there's this secret little knob here on the left. If I click on it, you can change the global tuning. It's kind of cool to have that option. And then over here, this is a new feature. They had this timbre shift on the Anthology as well. It sort of changes the colorization of the timbre, makes it brighter and darker. But then they also included this mech sound. You can adjust the sound of like the damper pedal sound, which is a nice touch. So if I turn it up a little bit and press the damper, you can hear the damper pedal. And that was one of my criticisms on the Anthology, was we needed an adjustment for the pedal, and they did it, which is awesome, and it works great, and I love it. Thank you so much, Rhodes, for doing that. And thanks for putting it on the Wurlitzer. So let's set it to like this default plus onboard speakers. And I recently downloaded some drum samples, so I don't know, let's just jam a little bit and then try some stuff. We'll see. There's no note down there on the Wurlitzer. Yeah, cool. Let's try something with this default plus plate reverb. Try something a little more ethereal with like this slower beat. try a little delay. That's kind of nice. Actually, I'm just gonna leave it right there. So I dig the plugin, obviously. It sounds great, especially if you're listening in headphones. There's all kinds of like detailed stuff in that sound, which is important to me for the way it feels and sounds. It feels like a Wurlitzer, which is awesome. Couple criticisms, they're small, but I thought I'd talk about them. One is the UI of this. It's the same as the Anthology, which I like. I like the functionality of everything. The sound of everything is amazing. But for me, the display, the knobs, the indicators on the knobs are a little, especially the outer rings, are sometimes a little tough for me to see. I don't know, maybe if the outer knob was like a slightly different color or something. And then the power button for each section, it's hard for me to tell when that power button is on or off. So that's on, that's off. I'm on the equalizer right now. On, off. It's real subtle because it's like a chrome silver color going to like a very golden color, and it's in a very tiny spot, so it's hard for me to see. That's about it, really. I mean, everything else, fantastic. I definitely look forward to using this for all kinds of stuff. The standard pricing will be about $130 US. But I think up until June 30th, it's available for like about 90 bucks. Again, I want to thank Rhodes for sending this over. It's been really fun to use. And if you're into it or if you have any questions, just please let me know. Send stuff down in the comments. I'd be happy to answer anything about this. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time.